Hello, hola,
Hola, ¿qué tal?
ok, calor, bastante.
No estuve mucho afuera.
Bueno, acá está soplando el aire todo el día.
Ah,
Sí,
no, aquí también. Yo recién lo aumenté la temperatura porque tengo frío a veces.
acá yo lo tengo a 78, Johnny, y tenemos frío, porque no lo apago nunca, porque
Wow.
la casa se mantiene.
Yo lo tengo a 76, me parece.
Mm,
Y Ezzy siempre lo quiere más frío y Daniela lo quería siempre. Ahora lo tengo a 77. So we'll see what happens.
Well, you live upstairs, that's why.
Yeah, yeah. Anyhow.
¿Se fue, Daniela se fue?
Yeah, salió, tenía un vuelo a las 6, salió a las 6, hace media hora.
Ah, ¿en qué
Yeah.
compañía?
Con el AL.
Ah, no sabía que salen tan tarde, ¿eh?
Hoy tienen dos vuelos, a las 2 y a las 6.
Ah,
No lo tienen todos los días de la semana. Ciertos días de la semana tienen dos vuelos. So,
¿y a qué hora llega? ¿Mañana al
mañana a
mediodía?
las 6 de la tarde.
¿A qué hora?
6 de la tarde.
Oh, boy. 24, no son 24, pero
Por lo menos dos. Son
es un día entero.
16 horas de vuelo, me parece.
Sí.
Yeah.
Walter,
Aquí dice que es. ah,
es non-stop, ¿verdad?
yeah. Oh, it used to say how long it takes, but it doesn't say.
Yeah, hello, Mario. I'm just driving my car, so I don't want to talk while I'm driving. I don't want to come late because you get mad. Hello?
Yes, okay, but
Johnny, you leaving tomorrow?
No, no, my granddaughter just is on a flight now. Back.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's on a flight.
Okay.
So I was trying to check. I think it's 16-hour flight on the way back.
Something
Oh
like
no, I'm
that.
sorry. They left a half hour ago. It says time remaining 13 hours and 27 minutes. So it's a
oh,
14-hour flight.
yeah.
Hmm. It
That
was
is
packed
long though.
by Elal.
As it's
¿Quién está hablando?
What's going on there?
I don't know.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Tomorrow, same thing, 6:30 daf and
Yeah.
8 o'clock tzurba.
Now tell me, the next Gemara is Eduyas, right?
Horius,
Oh,
Horius.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Very short Gemara.
yes. We're on 75, Ayin Hay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sent, we're up to date with all of the videos. I've sent all the videos to
Yeah,
everybody.
I see. You've been working hard, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay, well, because some people miss and they're asking, they want the daf and
Yeah, to cut, to be able to
to stay up.
stay on, right?
Yeah. Okay, Ayin Hay. So we're talking about how to clean out the wine press or the olive press if it belongs to goyim. So Rav Amar b'mayim b'wadin, if we have to use water and ash, we'll see in a minute how they did that. Rav Rachan Amar leif b'wadin l'mayim v'lo pligi haberitivta. That means if the wine press is moist, so then they have to put the ash first to dry it and then rinse it with water. Habia beshta. There you have to clean it with water and then afterwards you clean it with ash. Itmar. Bei Rav Mishmei de Rav Amri. Tarti Tlas means 2, 3. That means with a wet wine press, you need 2 steps. Efer umayim. The abisha, no, by dry one, it's water, efer, and then mayim, in that order. Ushmul amar tlas arba, that the order is 3-4. It means in a wet one, it's first the efer, mayim, then the efer, and then by a dry one, it's mayim efer. Besura masnu hachi. What we just learned is the way they learned it in the Academy of Surah. The Pumbedisa masnu, they learned it a different way. That Bei Rav Amri Mishmei de Rav, plus Arba, that it's 3-4. That means there's the 3-step process when the press is wet, and you do Efer, Mayim, Efer. And when the press is dry, it's Mayim, Efer, Mayim, Efer. Ushmul Amar Arba v'chomish, it's 4-5. V'lo pligi, Marka Choshiv Maya Basroi, Shmuel considers the last water, it's not really hechsher, it's just to get rid of the ash. So with the last water, it's either 4 or 5. Umar lo kachoshev Maya Basroi. And Rav does not consider the last water, which is just to get rid of the ash, part of the hachshara process. They asked Rav Avo, in terms of being machshir kelim that goyim used for wine. Hani gurger dar moy. These sounds like baskets that they put these grapes in when they stepped on the grapes in the press. Arlu Rav Avo tenisua haresha hayu gitavu beis bodav. If the press, and this is actually an olive press, the place where the olives were placed, tmeim. If they were tummy, ubikish lasosim b'tahara. You want to clean it out to make it b'tahara. So the dapim, the wooden boards that they placed on the grapes, the adashim, these are like circular kalim. The alulvim, these are pillars or posts to hold the koreh that you press it with. So that medichin, you just rinse it. The ha'akolin, these are baskets that you put the grapes in there or the olives in there when you press it. Shel netzorim, if they were made out of palm leaves, vishel batzbutz, which is canvas, then menagvin, you use the ashes in the water trick. V'yemishel shifa v'shel gemi, if they're made out of pure
Plants.
What was that?
It says it's plants. A type of waterside plant.
Well, gemi is like a rubber, something like that. So miyashnin, you leave them shnei masar chodesh. You let them sit there for 12 months, because these things absorb a lot of the wine. Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, you don't have to wait 12 months. Menichim megas lagas, from one time that they press to another time, maybe 6 months apart, 8 months apart. We bad labat. First, the Gemara doesn't understand. It seems to be similar to Tanakama, a year. So ikibinai chorfi v'afoli. No, sometimes they would have riped grapes or olives earlier, and you don't have to wait 12 months. It would just be until the next time you process it. Rabbi Yossi Omer harotzel atar miyad. But let's say you want to be metar and you don't want to wait a year. Magilin beroitzchin, you rinse it with hot water. Or there was like a hot water that they used to do chlita to the olives. You put it under a pipe where water is flowing all the time. Or a spring where it's coming all the time. Kama ona. Ona means 12 hours, half a day. The same process that they said Yain Nesach is Taharas. Yeah, but we haven't been dealing with Yain Nesach. We've been dealing with Taharas. Klapilaya. You should say B'Taharas Kamina. We're discussing Taharas. Ella. Keder Shama B'Taharas Kacham Yain Nesach. The same cleansing process by Taharas we would say by Yain Nesach. Kama Ona. What's an Ona? On Rav Chia Barav on Rav Yechon. O Yom O Laila. Either the day or the night. 12 hours. Rav Chana She'ina. V'amri law. Rav Chana Bar She'ina. Rav Chana Rav Yechon. Chatzi Yom Chatzi Laila. It's a half a day or half a night. Amr Shul Bar Yitzchak, Lo Pligi. That which we said Yom Laila, that's Betkufas Nishan V'Tisrei. That's the vernal and the autumnal equinox, when the day and night are exactly 12 hours. Ha, when we say half a day or half a night, that's Betkufas Tammuz V'Teves, when the Yom and Laila are not equal, therefore it's always, an Ona is always 12 hours. These are like sieves that you get rid of the sediment of wine, and it belongs to Goyim. How do we machshir it? The mazya, you use human hair, and you madichin. I mean, if that's what the sieve is made out of, you just rinse it. The amraf was made out of wool, menagva. You use ash and water. The kitna, which is linen, miyash, you need to wait 12 months. The ikekatri shoilu, if there are knots, you have to undo the knots. Hani de kuli v'chalosu darmoy, baskets and sieves of goyim. The chiti b'chavli de tzuri, if they're thread and they're tied with threads of palm, then medicha. You just rinse it. The tzavta, another kind of plant, is lenagva. It's a gemi, like we said before. Then you just have to use afer and mayim. The kitna, which is linen, miyashn, you have to wait 12 months. The yispu ketari shaylu, you have to untie all the knots. Itmar. Amo aretz, who is understandable tome. Hoishit yoda lagas v'naga bashkalois. He put his hand into the wine press and he touched the grapes. Rabbi Rav Chia, Chad Omar, Eshkol, B'kol Svivos of Tmeim, the bunch of grapes and around it is Tomei, but the Cholakas Toy, the remaining wine press is Tor. But the Chad Omar Kolagas Kulanamit Mea, the whole press is Tomei. L'mad Omar, Eshkol, B'kol Svivos Tmeim, the Cholakas Kulatar, Maishna Meyadisnan. Why is it different than the following Mishnah? Sheretz Shenimtza B'rechai. You find a dead sheretz in a press of olives. Eino metame ele mokamago. It only is metame what it touched. However, am I a mashkin malachsham? But if there's olive oil there, hakol tame. So how come in our case it's not hakol tame? Hasom lo mifsik v'lo midi. By this olive press, there's nothing to be mafsik to the liquid. So if the sheretz touches it, it touches everything. Mafsike ashkol, here the bunches of grapes are the hefsik to there's no chibur between the bunch of grapes and the mashke. Orle Rabbana le Rav Yirmiyah. The Chachamim taught Rav Yirmiyah v'amilo lebrei to his son. Kedivrei oimer eshkol v'chol sivos of tmeim v'chol agas kula tohira. So the gas, the press remains tohor, even though the amaretz touched the bunches of grapes. Now, here's an important Mishnah and Gemara, which talks about what do you do? Tfilas kelim, right? When you buy, we learn this in Surah ben Rabbana. How do you kasher a kli that you bought from a goy? Halokech kli tashmish. We're talking about a kli that's used for food, a plate, a pot, silverware. So mina goyim, et shadarko lahatvil, yatvil. Some things that all you need to do is put it in a mikveh, that's enough. But if it needs lahagil, for example, a kli that absorbs flavor through hot water, it's kaboiloi kach palto. The way it absorbs, that's how you get rid of it. So a kli that is used with hot water, you have to use hagola, which is hot water. So if it's customary lahagil yagil. What about if you have a kli that is put on the fire directly? L'lavin ba'or, yilavin ba'or. You have to make it white hot. So shpud va'askala, these are, spits that you roast things on. So malabdin ba'or, you have to kasher them through making them white hot. Sakin, a knife. Shafavitar, you just have to get rid of, you have to, wipe it off. Lotza be'even shel nefachim. And Rashi says, you have to bang it with whatever the blacksmiths use. Tana, the kulon, even a kli that you put it in hot water to do agola, tzrikin tefila. You got to put it in a mikvah, the arboim saw. When the army came back from fighting Midian, and they had kalim that belonged to the Midianites, called dover sheyavo ba'esh, anything that was cooked with fire, tavir ba'esh, vit taher. What's this extra vit taher? Hosiv chakasuv taracheres. Besides the passing the kli into fire, it needs another tahar, and that's in the mikveh. Tani bar kapor mitoch shenemar ach b'mei nida yischata. Now that sounds like paraduma, mechatis, but that's only letumas hameis. So maybe shomani shetzarech hazah b'shlishi v'shvi. Maybe you need sprinkling of a paraduma ashes on these kind of kelim as well on the 3rd and 7th day. Talmud Omer ach, which is a miut lachalek. So you don't need paraduma. Im kein mat Talmud Omer b'mei nida. So we're not talking about mechatis of a paraduma. L'mayim shanida tovel is bad. Just like a nida goes into a mikvah 40 saw, the omer arboim saw. Itzrich lemichtiv v'taher, v'itzrich lemichtiv b'mei nida, and both. Because of v'taher avamina v'taher mikol du. Maybe doesn't need 40 saw. Any shear. Because Rachman Meinida to tell me you need 40 saw. Because Rachman Meinida avamina herav shemesh kini. Maybe you need the sun setting because she's not torn until the sun sets. Because Rachman v'tayar la'alter. But by these kalim that you buy from Goyim, once it goes in the mikvah, it doesn't need herav shemesh. Afilu kelim kadoshim b'mashma. So l'chora, the Gemara is not telling us a halach. You have to put it in a mikvah, even a new kli. It hasn't been cooked. Da yishanim v'libnam kechadoshim damu. An old kli that was used with fire that you now used a blowtorch to make it white hot, it's also new. And yet you have to vafilu achi boy tefila. So all the Isser and everything has been burnt out, but yet you still need tefillah. Maskar of Sheshet. Afilu zudid sarvala namli. What about scissors that you use to cut garments? Maybe that would require. Armelei, klei seuda amurin b'parsha. The parsha talked about kalim that we use for food. Amr Avdach Ravua lo yishanu ala b'lekuchin. It needs tefillah if you buy it from them. Like by Melchemes Midian. Because it came into the possession of the Jews. If you borrow your neighbor's kli, it doesn't require tefillah. Because it's not in your reshus completely. Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Zavin Mana de Marda. Migoy. Rav Yitzchak bought an earthenware kli from a goy. Sovar latvila. He was going to put in the mikveh. Amr le'um rabbanon, Rav Yaakov Shmei l'didi mivush l'minei Rav Yochanan, kli matcha samun b'parsha. The kalim that need tefillah is only metal kalim. Amr Vashi, hani klei schichus, glass. If they break, you can put them back in the kiln and make it new. It's kekli matcha stami. It's like metal. The halacha is, we learned this in Surba as well. If you buy a glassware from a goy, it needs tefillah, and any kalim that are lead lined. Kunya. So this is like pottery that's coated with metal, like maybe china. Pligi baravachav ravina. Chadamar kitchilaso. Just like a klicheres, it's not metal, doesn't need tvila. We treat it like tchilaso. The chad amar kesoifai, which is metal. So since there's metal on it, it nivelchas or kesoifai. So any metal glaze on a dish would require tefillah. Iboilahu. Let's say a goy gave a Jew a mashkon, collateral, until the goy pays the debt and it's in possession of the Jew. Does it need tefillah or not? Amar baravashi, Abba mashkon le goy kasa de kaspa. My father took a mashkon, a silver goblet from a goy, va'atvale v'ishtibe, and he toiveled it before he drank it. But v'lo yadani mishum d'ksover mashkanta kazvini damya. I'm not sure it's because he considered taking a collateral like a purchase, or imishum d'chazi l'goy d'daiti l'ishkuya. He saw, Rav Ashi saw the goy was never going to pay him, and therefore he was going to leave the kos in his hands, and therefore it's like his. Torabon. Halokech kli tashmish min hagoyim. You buy a kli from a goy. Dvorm shalom ishtamish behen matvilon vein tohirin. If the goy never used it, so you have to do tefillah, but not anything else. You can use it. Dvorm shalom ishtabeh behen. So if the goy used the kli ayadei tzonein, if he just used cold water, kosos, ktunios, vitzluchios, right, cups, madichin, all you need to do is rinse it in cold water. Umat vilin, put in the mikveh ve'im toirin. Dvorm nishnamish maladei chamin, a pot that you use to cook spaghetti, you used hot water. The cauldrons, tea kettles, umach mechamin, these are things that things that had heated up hot water. Magilin, you have to put them in boiling hot water to kasher them. Umadvilin, and then you put them in the mikveh ve'in toharin. Dvorim shenishtamshu be'alidei, or if you put it directly on the fire, gon shpudin, spits, vaskalos, malavnin, you have to heat it white hot, and then madvilin ve'in toharin. V'kulan shenishtamsh ben ad shlo yatvil. If a Jew used it, actually, he didn't put it in the mikveh, and he didn't kasher it. What's the din? Tani chada osir. The food is osir. The taninich mutter. Now, what's the machlokas here? Loi kasha. Hakaman deomer noisen tam lifgam osir. It has to do with if the flavor emitted is a bad flavor, but he holds it still usher. So if you used it without all these processes, it would be usher, the food. But but if the flavor emitted is a bad flavor, then it's permitted. So he doesn't usher. Freit Gemara, ulaman damer noisin tal nifgam mutter, giyule goyim dos rachman echem ishkachosla. Why would you ever need to kasher pots that you bought from Goyim. If it's all, remember, we know anything beyond 24 hours, the flavor that it emits is a bad flavor. So how will we ever have Giyulei Goyim that would be prohibited? So the Gemara answers, the only time it's prohibited if the pot was used that day by a goy, so it has prohibited flavors absorbed in the kli. Now when it comes out into your food, it's going to usher it because it's not noisen tam livkam. It's a good flavor. But if it's not ben yoimoi, if it's beyond 24 hours, then any flavor that comes out is a bad flavor. If it's a bad flavor, it's not going to prohibit your food. That's the machlokas between the two. Okay.
We know that for a fact that it's a bad flavor?
By definition,
Yeah, it's by
anything
definition,
beyond 24, if it's not ben yomo, it's noisen tam livkam.
but could it be in those days because the pots were different and everything else? There were different makeup today with a steel pot or something else, or with whatever the pots we have today. There's not time gum. It probably isn't a bad taste if they rinse it out.
It is. The concept is the following: the belia.
Yeah.
Let's say you're cooking something in the pot. Now the flavor is absorbed into the wall of the pot.
You're right.
Now, within the first 24 hours, if you cook another food in there, the flavor of the original, the flavor of that prohibited item
goes into it.
And now, so therefore it's prohibited. But let's say you cooked chazer in the wall of in the pot, but now it's 36 hours. That flavor that comes into your food is a liftam flavor, no matter what kind of kli it is. And therefore, it's noisen tam livgam, it ruins it, because when a flavor sits too long, it gives a bad taste. If now your food tastes bad because of that, but we don't have a kfela, we don't taste it. The din is ben yoimo is aser. If you cook spaghetti in a pot that a goy cooked chazer in this today, your spaghetti can't eat. If you cook it 36 hours, so you come to the Rav will say it's not you can eat it. You shouldn't cook it lechatchila, but b'di'evet, you don't have to throw it away, it can be eaten.
Crazy. It's crazy because it could be in Gansen treifus. The pots.
It's not treif. By definition, it's not treif.
I get it, but it's very strange. Just because of the noten lon, because it's noten tam.
Because it's beyond, it's not a ben yomo.
It's not.
That's why the first question or any Rav will ask, when did you use this pot or when did you use this dish last?
Right.
That's the first question they ask. Is it ben yom or not? That's how you begin to resolve the kitchen questions. So the noisen tam livgam and the ben yomo, what we're learning, that's why when we learned Yoredea, it wasn't all chulin. A lot of it came from Avodah Zara here.
Yeah.
These last 4, 5, 6 blot. How to kasher and all of these various dinim. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Shkoyach. Okay.
Tomorrow 6:30 and Sorbet 8.
Thank you.